Welcome. In this tutorial, we are going to learn about Dequue, double-ended queue, which can be used as both stack and queue. Earlier we saw list data structure, which can also be used as stack and queue using append and pop functions. So same functions are available for Dequue. So what's the main difference? It differs in how they are storing elements internally. So Dequue stores element in doubly linked list, whereas list stores their element inside dynamic array, which can increase or decrease the size of array depending on the length of the sequence. Okay. Dequue also supports thread safe and memory efficient pop and append functionality, which adds or removes element from the beginning of or the end of the Dequue. Okay, and it guarantees the performance of big O of 1 for that. Whereas if you are using list and if you are adding or removing element from the beginning of the list, the performance is big O of n. But random access and insertion and deletion from the middle of the Dequue is more expensive compared to the list. So if you are sure that you are using data structure which only modifies the sequence from the beginning or the end of the sequence, then you can go for the Dequue, which will increase your performance. And if you are performing random access and if you are modifying element from the middle of the list or middle of the sequence, you should go for the list. So let's begin with the constructor of a Dequue, which takes two optional arguments. First one is iterable of elements from which the Dequue object is returned, and second one is a maxlen, is a maximum amount of elements which can be held by the Dequue object. Okay. So let's construct the empty Dequue object. So for that you need to import Dequue from the collections module, and if you don't provide any parameters, it will return empty Dequue object. So if you give iterable as a parameter, it will return elements of iterable as a Dequue object. You can also construct Dequue object from the generator functions such as range. So it will iterate over each element which is generated by generator function, and it will return Dequue object out of those elements. Okay. We can also provide the maximum length of element which can be held by the Dequue object. Okay. So if we provide it, it can hold maximum number of given maxlen element. You can also access elements by index, which is same as the list. So if we have elements 1 to 10, and if you try to access with index 1, it will return 2, and with reverse index, if you are giving -1, it will return last element, which is 10. Same way you can assign new value to a particular index. So it will replace value at index 5 with given new value. As we can see here, element at index 5 is modified. Same way we can delete an element at particular index. Okay. So here the element at index 5 is deleted. But these operations are costlier than the list in Dequue. Okay. And in Dequue it does not support slicing. So if you try to slice, it will give you that it takes integer as an index but not the slice. Okay. And if we compare the functionality with list, it performs the same for the iteration, copy, deep copy, membership operators, comparison operator, multiplication and addition. It works as a same as we saw for the list. Okay, so let's see the functions of the deque. First one is a len. It will return the number of elements which are inside the deque object. As we can see, it contains elements 1 to 10, so it returns length as a 10. Next one is append. It adds given element to the end of the deque. So we have 1 to 10 element, and if we execute append 11, it will add 11 at the end of the deque. So if we have given maxlen as a 10 or given any integer, and if we are holding the elements which is equal to maxlen n, so here we are holding 10 element and maxlen is 10, and after that if we are trying to append a new element, it will add given new element to the end of the deque, and it will also remove one element from the beginning of the deque. So here as we can see, 1 is removed from deque and 11 is added. So at a time it will hold at most given number of maxlen elements. Okay. Next function is appendleft, which will add given element to the beginning of the deque. So if we have elements 1 to 10 and we append left 0, it will add 0 at the beginning of the deque. And if we are holding elements length equal to maxlen, and if we try to append left 0, it will add 0 to the beginning, and it will also remove one element which is 10 from the end of the deque. Next function is pop, which removes and returns the rightmost element from the deque. So if you execute it, it will remove the last element or the rightmost element from the deque, and it will return the element. Popleft will remove and return the leftmost element from the deque. Okay, so if we execute it, as you can see, it is removing the leftmost element which is 1 and returning that element. Okay, so after the performing popleft, that element is removed. Next method is extend, which takes one argument as an iterable of elements. So all the elements of given iterable will be added to the end of the deque. Okay, so we have elements 1 to 10, and if we extend 11 to 15 from iterable, it will add each element, or it will append element at the end of the deque, as we can see here. Same as extendleft will add each element of a given iterable to the left hand side or the beginning of the deque. Okay, so it is similar to the append left for the each element of a given iterable. So as we can see, each element is added at the left hand side one by one. Next method is insert, which insert given element at a given index. So it takes two parameters, index at which we want to insert element and the element itself. So it will insert at index 4 element 5. Okay, as you can see here, it is inserted. This is similar to the insert function of list. Remove, which removes the given element from the deque. Okay, so if we want to remove element 5, we will provide element 5 inside the remove, so that particular element is removed. If it is containing duplicate elements, element 5, it will only remove the first occurrence of a given element. Okay, as we can see here, only first occurrence of 5 is removed, later occurrences remaining as it is. And if we try to remove an element which is not inside the deque, it will raise value error saying that given element is not inside deque. Next function is count, which counts the number of occurrences of a given element inside deque. So if we execute count 5, it will count the number of occurrences in the deque, which will return 2. Next is index, which returns the index of a given element inside the list. If it is containing duplicate element, it will return the index for the first occurrence of a given element. So here, as we can see, we have element 5 at 2 places. So if we execute index, it will return the first index of a first occurrence of a 5. Okay, so which is indexed at 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. As we can see here, it is returning index 4. Next function is reverse. It reverses the order of elements of a deque. So if you execute it on deque 1 to 10, it reverses all the elements of a deque. Next function is rotate, and it rotates n number of steps in the right direction if the given n is positive. If you are providing negative integer, it will rotate n step to the left hand side. So let's first give rotate in as a positive, which will rotate n step to the right hand side. So as we can see here, it is rotating 3 times. So first 10 will be rotated here. In second step, 9 will be rotated at the beginning, and in the third step 8 will come to the beginning. Okay, so it is rotated 3 times in the right direction. So if we are providing negative index or negative integer, it will rotate left n steps. As we can see here, it will rotate from the beginning. So 1 is rotated here, in second step 2, and in the third step 3. Next function is clear, which removes all the elements from the deque. So if we have element 1 to 10, and if we execute clear, it will remove all the elements from the deque. So that brings us to end of the video.